Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here and welcome to this week's episode of The Knife Guy. So what are we talking about today? Okay, so I have this idea and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I came up with this idea all by myself. The truth is I've been chatting with maybe 20 to 30 different people over the last couple of months. And I can't say exactly who these people are because this was just casual conversation in, under videos and random comment sections. People would say, wouldn't it be funny if, and I would kind of, joke back and forth. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized this is actually kind of, in my opinion, a good idea, right? And not everybody's going to agree with me, but it is funny to think about at the very least. Here's something that we've all heard, right? This is, in fact, one of the most common things that you will hear anywhere in the knife community, whether we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Reddit, YouTube, anywhere, doesn't matter. No matter what it is, somebody is going to say, that looks like a gas station knife. That's something that we hear all the time. Sometimes it's legitimate. It's just, some totally bewildered new person who heard that term for the first time and somebody told them that their knife looked like that. So now, they're just applying it to everything, just sort of guys shooting in the dark, right? Or it's said on purpose, right? Ironically, it's meant as kind of like a trolley thing. People who have been around for a long time know that gas station knives are not original designs, right? So to say, the funny thing about that comment is to say that looks like a gas station knife. It's the exact opposite. Gas station knives attempt to copy high-end knives in some cases. Truthfully, the aesthetic of a gas station knife is really just one that's meant to draw in somebody who has no idea what a quality knife looks like, and their assumption is based on what they see in the movies or, fantasy video games or whatever, right? The crazier and more exotic it looks, it makes them feel like, I was playing World of Warcraft and there was this legendary weapon that looked exactly like this weird spiky rainbow thing I saw at the gas station, right? That's more of a subconscious thing, but it's a hook to draw people in. But many times gas station knives are legitimately based on the wild and crazy aesthetic of truly, custom knives that use materials that end up looking that way naturally instead of it just being paint applied. Anyways, right, we get that. This, applying that statement comes to a lot of things. And there are knives that are more or less serious, right? That have been created for more or less serious reasons. Some people assume that the more expensive knives get, the more serious the design was at its conception, which is not always true. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes the designer, the maker, sets out to create something incredibly practical or something that is made for a very, very specific purpose, something that is ultra-utilitarian, and it ends up costing a lot of money for one or more elements, right? There's always a ton of variables to this. But, like a great example is like the PMP Alpha Beast. This thing is gigantic and ridiculous and crazy. Somebody who doesn't know better is going to look at this and say, whoever made this was clearly trying to make something that was ultra durable, ultra dependable, just ridiculous, but they missed the mark. They went way over the top. That thing's not going to be practical. And the reason that that's funny is because the designer of the PMP Alpha Beast knew good and well that it was an impractical object from the start, right? It wasn't necessarily created to be taken ultra seriously. It's just, this is a specific interest, a specific corner of the knife world is interested in these crazy overbuilt knives. And you could say that looks like a gas station knife, right? We also have knives like the Cold Steel Espada XL. And some people will defend wildly that the Cold Steel Espada XL is the only thing that should be considered, right? Or, haha, it's all funny, right? But the thing is, absolutely capable of being a combat apparatus, and it is incredibly durable and blah, 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 right? You could say that looks like a gas station knife because it's so big and crazy, but, there are still people that understand, or that either take it seriously or just kind of enjoy like the, haha, it's kind of funny, but it actually is capable, right? The PMP Alpha Beast is not capable, but it's, we get it. It's made incredibly well and still appeals to the enthusiasts. It appeals to people for different reasons, right? People who are very much aware of the idea behind the thing from the beginning. We have knives like the Max Ace Dragon. Again, made incredibly well, right? But you look at that blade, that's a gas station blade, right? But the funny part of this is that it is M390 and it's actually ground super well, right? It's not practical, but it is made in a way, ironically, that is so unbelievably premium, right? It's just kind of funny, right? You could apply this to a lot of stuff, like the Reich Lamella. It kind of looks fantasy, almost like it was made by the elves, right? The Riyadh ISO gravity knife, I think mainly this one's out here for the same reason as the Herman Dragonfly. I mean, I've got two of these. This is a great example. Actually, I should have brought this other one out. I have a Herman Dragonfly that's made out of Timascus and Damacor, and I have a Herman Dragonfly that is made out of titanium and M390, and it's just gray. Not one person has ever said that looks like a gas station. I'm sure there will be now that I'm saying it, right? But this one gets called a gas station knife all the time. Why? Because it's colorful, and because people who have only ever seen colorful knives at a gas station, right? That's all they have to go on. They're like, hey, that's a gas station, because they don't know. It's humorous, right? There's nothing you can do about it. It's just a natural reaction to things, right? We have, the tactical and the ultra super, the tactical, right? For a long time, this was perceived as, this is a serious look, right? This is how I thought. Things that are black, all black, tanto, and appear military. Why do I think that? I think back to this. All black and tanto and, almost like the thing is screaming tactical at you. I'm so silent and deadly. It's just aggressively undoing the idea behind it. Well, it's because of my perception of, movies that depict like sort of Rambo-esque characters, right? It seems a lot of the stuff that you see being held by soldiers in action movies, it was always some black tanto looking thing. So like, well, that's clearly whatever the blackness they apply is military grade blackness, right? It is darkness supreme, totally secret, whatever. When, a lot of gas station knives try to capture that aesthetic, right? It's just black. A lot of people in the early stages of becoming knife enthusiasts, they don't question what the coating is. They don't question anything. They don't question what the handle material is. They don't question where it's made. They don't question, literally nothing about the knife is questioned. It just looks how they assume a serious military knife looks, so that's what they're all about. So they go for it, right? $17.99, what a great deal. In reality, gas station knives often look like this. It's just absolutely silly, right? It is Batman. Apparently, this is a Batman thing, right? Batman is like the ultimate tactical, right? So if you're into Batman, you're like, well, yeah. I mean, Batman's gonna know, right? Batman's not gonna carry it on his utility belt unless it is supremely tactical, right? But also rainbow, ooh, shiny, right? That the whole Batman tactical, Dark Knight thing goes out the window because rainbow's shiny. It's ridiculous. Two assisted, completely and totally unsafe assisted blades that are, locked in place by a questionable liner lock. We get it. Okay, get to the point. We've got a lot of things that dance around it, right? And we got a lot of people that label things as gas station knives here or there, right? And people who have been around for a bit can say, it takes on that appearance, but I think I understand what the designer was going for. I personally would never pay for it, right? But, the manufacturing quality is there, or it's on the serious end. Whatever. We've never actually, to my knowledge, nobody has ever truly captured intentionally the gas station, the real gas station look. As a knife reviewer, this guy likes to hear himself talk. Oh, you should look back. Look at you have no idea how accurate that is until you realize I have 3,000 uploads. Definitely. I definitely enjoy hearing that. I don't like to go back and listen to the video afterwards, but in the moment, oh yeah, you betcha. But I just like to talk. But the thing I'm trying to get at here is knowing, those of you who know that gas station knives are just, it's just a fat, juicy worm to somebody who doesn't know any better, right? but also the fact that they often do copy, you know, a knife from a world that's been in place much longer than this aesthetic of gas station knives has ever been a thing, right? Knowing that that is the case, I think it would be worth exploring for some people. I'm not going to say I'm going to do it. I'm just planting the seed, right? As a reviewer who has reviewed things on every end of the spectrum, I've seen it all. I've seen the practical cheap stuff. I've seen the practical expensive stuff. I've seen the hardcore insane expensive stuff. I've seen the hardcore insane inexpensive stuff that has elements of practicality and elements of ridiculousness all mashed together. But the one thing that's never really been captured is intentional gas station aesthetics. Truly intentional gas station aesthetics. And I know this is going to get, no, I've seen it. There's this and I've said. I'm saying to go full on double layer irony. Copy the gas station stuff. That's honestly what I want to see. I love reviewing practical things and pointing out this is practical, this is inexpensive. It's a good EDC knife, right? This is who it's for. It's for these people looking for this right here, right? Ontario Rat 1. Or this is impractical. It's insane and wild and crazy and nobody needs it, right? This is not for everybody. This is a $500 ridiculous chunk of titanium and D2. The only people who are going to go for this are people who are trying to collect crazy overbuilt knives, and they understand exactly what it is. They're not, pretending to, you're not trying to create a role for it, a serious role. It's just ridiculous for the sake of being ridiculous. That's the kind of stuff they're into. Go for it. Enthusiast collector, go for it. I try to separate that stuff in my reviews. I've seen all that. Right? What I love to see, are new, ideas. Right? Funny ideas. I definitely like that. I like to see people just go for it. Right? I'm against clones. I'll argue this to the ends of the earth. I'm totally against it. And I know somebody's going to be like, I want to argue. Don't waste your time. I'm against it, right? But seeing that these companies behind the gas station, I mean, these are just nothing. Just like, yeah, that looks like just whatever you can do to trick people into buying this and assuming that it's the real, right? It's like the Fireball thing. Whatever you can do to make them think that it's, legit. Well, that's trash, right? I always tell people, don't buy a knife from the gas station. If you're looking to save money and get a practical tool, you can spend $30 to $50 and get a knife that'll last you for 10 years and be amazing, right? Go for it. I want to see. I was joking with somebody in the comments, and we were talking about exactly this. And if you're that person most recently, let me know. People said they should just go ahead and make like a full-on, like just literally pop into any gas station or a few different gas stations and find like the common denominator, right? The most ridiculous, the combination of tactical and rainbow nonsense, right? But then, an OEM that actually knows what they're doing, right? Where they can make a ridiculous object that doesn't have to be ergonomic, doesn't have to have a practical blade, but they can make it in a way that it's at least safe, right? It's a funny conversation piece. And before you try to argue that that's not, why would we want it? Nobody's ever going to go for it. The whole the donut sprinkle thing is proof that people like to enjoy this sort of inside joke humor, right? One of my favorite things, and I know there's other people that will agree with me, one of the most satisfying and hilarious things to read is when somebody just doesn't get it, right? You see those Blade HQs like, hey, we're doing the next sprinkle thing, right? And they're really milking that. They've been doing that for a bit. It's still funny, but it's just now they're doing it with everything. And you always, every time there's somebody, it just blasts over their head, and they're like, I don't understand the sprinkles! It's supposed to be serious! Knives are serious! Right? How dare they? Oh, they desecrate the soul of the combat Troodon. And then they ask $2,000. As if somebody's like, they got a ball and chain on the guy, and they're like, you have to buy this. This is it's your responsibility. You have to, right? They just don't get it, right? I mean, is the combat Troodon sprinkle thing ridiculous? Well, yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? Any of them. They're ridiculous. The point that I'm making is that people are enjoying this funny side that's coming out, this funny evolution of the knife world. We've been, in this. If you've been a part of the knife community for the last decade, then you have seen all these different shifts in the atmosphere. I mean, the back end of 10 years ago, everything was pretty serious. You want to introduce something that's even a little bit silly? Well, then you better explain yourself, mister, because here we only deal with serious tools and serious business. Right? That was the kind of stuff, that's all you ever saw. And then, we had a couple of people on YouTube and other, social media platforms that were like, yeah. But I kind of like the weird stuff, right? We finally had some people starting to admit, like, well, this is some of this was kind of like has the appeal that makes me think back to when I was a kid and I was, drawn into this weird stuff that I found at the flea market, right? The ninja stars. And people didn't like to admit for a long time that that's kind of where they started. And I think that's okay to have, obviously, to be able to identify something that is made in a way that is safe, right? To be able to identify something that is safe and practical and meant for a specific purpose and then using the thing for that purpose. I also think it's completely and totally okay to identify something that is safe and made well, but is not practical and is really made to appeal to somebody who just kind of enjoys the fact that the thing exists, right? It's okay to laugh. It's okay to enjoy that. Even if the thing is expensive, right? You can buy it or you can just go, ha, that's weird. That's funny that exists. I'm going to go about my day, right? You can do that. It's totally okay. The thing, the label, I said, he was like, you should, when you make your own knife, you should strictly make gas station inspired knives, like intentionally make things that are so ridiculously over the top and stupid, right? As an inside joke. And you're going to get all these people being like, oh, he just makes trash, right? He just makes gas station knives. And I said I would name the company GSK, right? For gas station knife. I don't actually want to do this. I just thought it was funny. But I do like the idea of people intentionally designing things that are inspired by gas station knives, right? The most self-aware that ironic self-awareness, I think, is one of the most perfect potential inside jokes. Because what will happen as soon as somebody puts like a real flashy reel up on Instagram of this ridiculous thing, right? Ideally, these would be inexpensive, right? Ideally. Because then if they're really expensive, then you get a whole nother layer of people getting upset, right? But ideally, they would be inexpensive. Created by OEMs, probably Chinese OEMs, that could do this type of stuff and make these wild and crazy lines and silly things. And they don't even have to be... The great thing here is that it doesn't necessarily have to be made out of like your traditional, your G10 and your mic. It doesn't necessarily have to have any serious elements, right? As long as it is created, in a way that is safe, right? And the same quality that we expect from these companies, right? I think it would be really funny to intentionally copy gas station knife designs and mark them as GSK inspired, which would be a fun label that anybody could use, right? It would be, I know I'm just rubbing a magic lamp here and being like, oh yeah, you should do this, right? Hey, everybody, just do this, right? No, I'm just saying, hey, funny idea. I'm just trying to plant a seed here. A free to use, thing for everybody, right? It would be a bummer if somebody tried to claim this, right? And then be like, no, you can't do it. You can't put GSK because I own that, right? Be a really funny kind of elbow rub between a bunch of different designers, OEMs, companies, right? GSK inspired, just printed somewhere, right? Oh, the ultimate chef's kiss inside joke. But after the flashy Instagram, this is just like, you can tell this is just like a fantasy, right? It's just a fantasy. It's just something for me to laugh at. And as a reviewer, I'd love this. I love the weird stuff. It's just so freaking goofy, right? But to have acknowledgement from companies, like real acknowledgement, like, yeah, this is where it came from, right? and then to have it, you know, displayed as a serious thing, and all the to be able to read all the confused anger. This is just a gas station knife, right? Oh my God, I would love that. I'd love it. I think that's a hilarious idea, right? And I think there's definitely there are enough people who are aware of this. The joke that looks like a gas station knife. There's enough people who like to laugh and enjoy this hobby for, you know, whatever reason they want. There's enough people who enjoy that it would work, right? And remember, you know, I'm not saying that I want the whole knife world to shift to this. Obviously, you know, everybody's going to keep. We exist in a time where we have incredibly practical, inexpensive stuff, incredibly practical, expensive stuff. We have collectible stuff. We have insane, crazy, custom stuff. We have whatever you want. There's enough of everything that you're not cornered. There's no specific part of the market, right, or the knife world that is threatening the stuff that you like. And I think that's why people so aggressively defend or, you know, sort of try to crusader march against certain things is they for whatever reason they feel like the stuff that they enjoy is somehow threatened by the existence of this stuff that is the exact opposite. And I think that's a ridiculously childish thought. No, if you like practical stuff, well, let me tell you, the knife world has a endless supply of it. And it can be had for very little money, right? It doesn't cost that much to get essentially a perfectly crafted EDC tool. Over the last 5 years or so, there's been this massive rush of, you know, I'm going to create the perfect EDC folding knife. We set out to create the perfect utilitarian EDC folding knife. Yeah, really? So did the last 2,000 people that did. We've got them. Thanks. We've got a whole bunch of them now, right? And people like me have collected them, and great, right? So now, whenever I see now somebody on Instagram, and listen, I'm still a go for it because I want to review this stuff. I want to find out, like, does it actually bring something else to the table? Maybe it does. An incremental, you know, step forward is still a step forward, and it's nice to see. I want to see innovation, and I want to see boundaries, you know, stepped past. Right? Walls broken down. I want to see all that, and that's great. But whenever I see that, we set out to create the perfect EDC folding knife, and then they present it, and I'm like, wow, it looks like you captured a lot of the same lines that we've kind of already established create that. It looks like you kind of made the same thing that we've been seeing, right? So yeah, those people they're always gonna be there, and that's great. But intentionally in the most self-aware way, copying that majestic unicorn, the ultimate gas station aesthetic. And the beauty of this is that it can come in so many different forms, right? You know, some of my favorite stuff is flames everywhere, just flames. It's on fire, right? Look at this knife, huh? There's flames on the blade, flames on the handle, the whole thing's on fire. That's pretty serious, right? Or Joker stuff. Look at this. Do you like Jokers and clowns? I personally do not understand that at all. But apparently that is, that's a thing, right? People say, oh, it's Batman Joker inspired. No, it's ICP inspired. No, it has something that I don't understand. There's a connection there between like the flaming 8 balls and the royal flush, right? Put that stuff all over the place. I'd like to see one that's a combination of everything, right? And then put dragons on it. This is what I want. I want to see something that is, I need a rainbow Balisong karambit that is dragon themed, Joker themed, pool hall themed, and poker themed, all at the same time. Put lots of fire on it, maybe fake jewels and stuff, right? And then I want it to have no ergonomics whatsoever. That's what I would love to see that. I think that would just be the most offensive thing that you could imagine, the worst looking thing possible. And it's just, there's so much to take in. There's so much to unpack that right? It looks like something that could never, ever be taken seriously. And that would be the beauty of it, right? That's what I would like to see. I think that that would be fun. And I think it would be an interesting, not necessarily a step forward, it would be an interesting sidestep, a moment in Knife World history that we could all step back and laugh at collectively and at the same time enjoy, because a lot of this stuff, it was the reason. It was exactly the reason that we stepped in. You cannot tell me that you have never stepped into a flea market and gone, ooh, they have ninja stars. Ooh, look at that dragon sword, level 100 ninja class. Like, look at, it's red and blue and yellow and fire, right? Well, that's what we want to see, right? Because the Final Fantasy games that we grew up playing, the ultimate weapon was some big, stupid, impractical thing, right? Or Guts from Berserk inspired, right? Or my favorite one, what's the game where the character just uses a giant key as a keyblade? It's actually a really popular game. I'm actually ashamed to say I've never played it. The one where he's alongside all the Disney characters. But those types of games, it pushes the whole, like, they're obviously aware that the things that they're wielding, like the designers of those games are aware that the things that their characters wield are completely and totally impractical and ridiculous. I mean, you're not going to cut anything with a thing that has the geometry of a key. And it also has to be massively heavy. It's just going to be a blunt force, right? But it goes out the window, right? Because nobody's actually taking that seriously. It's just funny, right? Or it's so funny that it becomes cool. That transition from, this is so stupid, this is so ridiculously silly, that it is now cool, right? Tactical is now actually cool. Gas station is now, right? A lot of people are going to hate me for even throwing this idea out there, but I love it. I am a huge fan of the donut sprinkle thing. I own none of them. Not something I actually want, but something that I enjoy because it exists, right? I like the pot being stirred a little bit, but not just to enjoy in the confusion and suffering of other people, but because I know that these types of things eventually enlighten people. It's always nice to hear somebody say, I viewed this Knife World as one thing, and then I started to put my guard down and ease up a little bit. And now I'm able to appreciate a lot more stuff now that I've realized that some of this stuff is intentionally silly, and it's okay. I love that. That's what we want, right? Come over to our side. It's way less stressful over here. It's way more fun, right? When you just let go of the, ninja soldier thing. And just appreciate it for being silly, right? I would love that. And I know that we do see this, by the way. We do already see this type of thing in the custom knife world. Fantasy elements, just crazy, right? People bring up the folding scythe, which was actually copied and turned into a gas station knife, right? The one thing that you have to be careful with this idea is if you are directly copying something that actually is a clone of something else, then you're just duplicating, you're creating more layers of clones, which is not a good idea. You want to I would like to see designs that are inspired by gas station designs that are very, very poor examples of things that exist, but still kind of their own thing, right? The almost unique side of the gas station aesthetic. Again, this could go nowhere. In fact, I fully expect it to absolutely go nowhere. But I think it's funny. And if it were to occur, GSK inspired would just be the smallest print. Just get it in there like Civivi prints it on how they print it on their blades, like the blade steel. You really have to hunt for it. GSK inspired. Would love it. Let me know what you think of this idea. Obviously, this was a 30-minute ramble, and if you made it this far, you're probably feeling like, I just wasted 30 minutes of my life. Yeah, you did. Or maybe you didn't. It depends. It depends on your perspective. Let me know what you think. This is the type of stuff that's fun to talk about for me. Okay. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex if you enjoyed this video. Leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody. and have a great day.